Hi everyone and welcome in a new video of Game Gear. In this video we're going to take a look at the Asus Gaming Laptop. It concerns the G513Q and it's equipped with a 3070 series, so I'm really curious as what we can expect of these new mobile GPUs. Because this is a long video and I know everybody wants something else, I put some timestamps in the description of this video. In this video we're going to take a look at what the specifications are, then we're going to take a look at the performance in different games, so we'll try it out in Warzone, the new Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and then of course in a golden oldie like Counter-Strike. After this we'll test the laptop in the 3D Mark Timespy demo, and then of course we'll run the new Cinebench benchmark, both single core and multi-core. So if you're interested in just one of these topics, then just use the timestamps and jump to the section that you're interested the most. So let's get started with the specifications. The G513Q is equipped with the brand new AMD 5000 series and it concerns the 5900HX. As I said in the introduction, we have a new RTX3070 Mobile Gaming Edition as the GPU. When it comes to GPU performance, we all know that the desktop GPU is usually a bit more powerful than the mobile version, and of course in this case it is not different. As usual, the mobile edition of course is a little bit less powerful because you can't give them that much power, so you can't expect the same performance jump that we've seen on the desktop in the mobile version. When we really get down to the specifics, it has about 20% less CUDA cores, and the speed of the memory, it depends on how much power the laptop gets. So the performance of a 3070 chipset can be different in one laptop from the other laptop depending on how well they have designed the cooling system, because the more you can cool your graphics card, the more power you can give, and the more power it gets, the more powerful, haha, mind the pun, the more powerful you can make the graphics card. And in a nutshell, this is basically the main bottleneck for these GPUs in the gaming laptops. It is how good can you cool this graphics card and how much power can you really give it. So the desktop version, the memory works at 1700 MHz, and on the mobile version it depends. It goes between 1200 MHz up to 1600. So even at its peak performance, it's still a little bit less than the desktop version. The good news of course is they consume less power, which is definitely important on a gaming laptop or just on a laptop in general. Then of course, as we could expect, it has 16 GB of RAM. Thankfully you can even upgrade it up to 24 GB of RAM, and yes, it has 3200 MHz, so I'm really happy to see this faster RAM, especially in combination with an AMD processor. When it comes to storage, of course this bad boy has an SSD, and yes, it's an NVMe M2 SSD, so it's really fast. And yes, if you want to, you can add another one. The next thing of course that is important is the monitor. Back in the day you only had one, and that was a 60Hz monitor, but now of course we also have those really good gaming displays in gaming laptops. This one has an IPS panel and it has 300 Hz, so yes, the refresh rate is insane. When it comes to response time, it still gets a very solid 3 milliseconds. Then we're going to take a look at the I/O ports. We have one combo audio jack, so that means if you have a classic connection with one 3.5mm jack for audio and one for your microphone, you will need a little splitter. Then we have an HDMI 2.0B connection, and then we have a USB 3.2 Type-C connection that you can use as display port or just as a super fast charging port. Last but not least, we have three regular 3.2 USB jacks. When it comes to wireless connections, of course, we have a Wi-Fi built-in and a Bluetooth 5.1. Last but not least, of course, we have RGB. We have RGB in the front of the laptop, and it's the first time I see it, and it looks really great. And of course, the keyboard is full RGB as well. When it comes to typing experience, it is really solid. No remarks there. It is what you can expect. The trackpad also feels really crisp when you press the buttons. I did try to game with it. Yes, blasphemy, normally you don't game with a trackpad, but for me it was a good test to see if it really tracks everything, and I was a little disappointed that sometimes it skipped a little, but again, if you're gaming, you use a gaming mouse and you don't use a trackpad. The overall build quality of this laptop is really good. It has a really nice design. The screen hinges, they don't have too much flex, so that is as it should be. The design of the laptop itself, it has some really nice features, especially on the top of the laptop. You have nice Asus logo in there, and then when you open it up you also have nice graphical details on the side. This really shows that they put some thought into designing this laptop. When it comes to weight, this 15-inch laptop weighs about 2.3 kilograms, and the battery lifetime you can expect about 4 hours of active usage. And if you're just watching Netflix or doing something else that doesn't ask that much of your gaming laptop, then you can expect about 10, maybe up to 12 hours of usage, which is definitely enough. The only thing that we haven't talked about yet is a webcam, and that's because there is no webcam in this laptop. I know it's a bit strange, almost every laptop has a webcam, so you have to decide if this is important for you, yes or no. I think they did this so they could keep the bezel of the screen really nice and tight. So yeah, if you think a webcam is important, do note that this laptop does not have an integrated webcam. That's it for the specifications, so let's take a look at how this baby performs in-game. So the first thing we'll do is jump into the Armory crate. In here we can change the different settings, so you have silent, performance and turbo. We've now set it to turbo. As you can see, the application is boosting the GPU and the frequency, so this will give us the optimal performance in game. So the settings, we have of course the 300 refresh rate for our monitor. We got full HD, unlimited for the frame rate, and then we have everything set to high. So this is what we'll be testing with. So we'll start our test right here when we jump out of the airplane.
Closing in fast. Get to the safe zone.
Alright, it's time for the new Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Let's go to the options. So of course, full HD, we've got the 300 Hz. Graphics quality, ultra high. Let's take a look at the graphics settings. So we have everything on ultra high. Water on high, environment high. Depth of field high. So these are the settings that we're going to use to test. We're now in game, so we'll start our FPS recording and we'll play for about 10 minutes. So now it's time to try Counter-Strike. So we'll go over the settings quickly. Basically everything is set to high, shadow quality, models and so forth. And we'll see what we can do in game. Alright, now that we've seen what this can do in games, we're gonna follow it up with a Timespy benchmark. So here are the results of our Timespy benchmark. So we got a very respectable 10,000 points on the graphics card and 9,000 on the CPU. In our last test, we're going to take a look at Cinebench R23. So we're going to first do a multi-core test for 10 minutes and then a single core test for 10 minutes. So the first multi-core test is done and we have a very respectable 13,000 points on this CPU. Now it's time for the single core performance. Alright, that's it for the single Cinebench benchmark. As you can see, we have a comparable result, and This specific laptop from Asus is apparently even more performant. Also keep in mind, we have done several benchmarks on this system already, so it's really good to see that it outperforms a similar system. Also good to mention, by default, as we can see on the laptop, the CPU is overclocked out of the box. Otherwise we didn't do anything with the system, so I think this is a pretty good score. Alright, now that all the tests are done, it's time for the conclusion. I think when it comes to connections, we definitely have enough. I mean, we have enough USB ports. It's fast USB ports. We have the display port. We have the HDMI 2.0B. We also have plenty of RGB options, and we have a great IPS panel with 300 Hz and 3 milliseconds. When it comes to performance, of course, the GPU, as expected, it's a mobile GPU. You can't get the same performance as the desktop version, of course. All in all, I do think it is a good machine. We have high quality graphics, we have a good CPU, good performance. I think when we look at the benchmarks, it is definitely more than sufficient for a very good gaming machine. When it comes to battery life, it is also very respectable. I mean, if you can play 4 hours without charging the battery, I think that's enough. And if you just want to watch Netflix, I think you can watch practically the whole day before you will have to charge. This leaves us, of course, with the final question: is it worth 2,000 euros? I think if you compare it to the laptop from last year, we do get a little bit extra performance. I think the positioning is definitely where it should be when it comes to price. Of course, if you already bought a laptop last year, I wouldn't throw it out of the doors yet. I think the performance difference is not sufficient to say I'm going to upgrade right away. If you are looking for a new laptop anyway, then I think this one is definitely a good choice. But as expected, the performance jump that we saw with the desktop versions is not as big with the laptop gaming machines. Alright, that's it for this video. If you made it all the way through the end, that means that you enjoyed this video. So don't forget to like and subscribe so we can grow this channel together. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.